Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I'm Marva B, and I am the CEO founder of Black Link Magazine, and I'm too thrilled to be here sitting with Miss Jolynn. Chin, oh my gosh, you guys, first of all, Jolynn, welcome to Black Link Magazine.
Thank you, Mara. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure and such an honor. Happy to be here.
Thank you, and it's an honor to have you in my presence. The way you play that piano, if I could just do an inkling of that.
I can probably teach you.
I would love to. I just think that you are amazing. So before we get into who you are, I'm just going to read just this little line because y'all just don't know. Okay. So Jolynn's latest album, Beyond Classical EP, has been recently considered for the 62nd Grammy Awards in the category of Best Contemporary Instrumental Album.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on that. So with that said, Miss Jolynn, go ahead and tell the world who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Mara. So I am a classical crossover pianist, which basically means I take classical pieces and sort of remix them, if that's a better term for it, or kind of like a mashup with any sort of genre, be it pop, rock, all the way to techno, EDM, and progressive rock, jazz, any kind of modern genres or elements that you can think about. But most of the time, people usually associate it to the mashing up process, but that's always not really the case, because crossover also do means mashing up in terms of styles. And that's why most of these covers that you've seen on my YouTube and the stuff that I release out on all of the platforms, they consist of crossover between a certain sort of music, a certain sort of cover, with elements from the classical virtuosic side of arrangements. And that's also what I do. And I'm also a film score producer and composer. So I've been writing scores for thriller films, motivational, emotional drama films, as well as commercials. And I also produce my own music. So I produce music as well. And
Listen,
that's about me.
a lot of hats in the world of music. And it's so amazing how you can take something and make it your own. And when we talk about classical, we don't think about R&B, and we don't think about like the group Metallic, right? But
Right.
but what I did read about you is that you were just something about R&B that just is near and dear to your soul. So let's talk about that.
I grew up listening to a lot of R&B. One of my favorite artists, Neo. Um, big fan. Big fan of Neo. I have been collecting all of his albums since day one. I remember being like about 10 years old, and I had this first album, Because of You. So I started from Because of You and all the way till another love song right now. So that's a really big gap if you were to think about it. But I grew up listening to a lot of Neo, and it's not just that. I've fallen in love with Usher's music, Tayo Cruz, Mario. So I'm really such a fan of R&B, and growing up with that, sort of had a lot of influence in how I write original music.
Mhm.
And this year I started this project where I was creating 1 minute tracks just for Instagram videos, because you know how Instagram videos have like this 1 minute limit.
Right.
So I was thinking, okay, it's gonna be a cool project. Let's make like a 1 minute video per month thing, and I'll be making tracks based on each month of 2021. And those are original tracks. And most of the time when people hear it, they're like, "Oh my God, this is great! This is great!" And I realized you have a lot of R&B influence in your original tracks. And I said, yeah, that's actually quite true. The reason being, like, it's not intentional. I did not intentionally force an R&B style of my writing into it, but it just came naturally. And to have someone set that, I was kind of like, oh, okay, I just realized that because I've never thought about it, or I had like the littlest intention to put it there.
Right.
So big fan, grew up with R&B.
Let's talk about growing up. where did you grow up, and what was it? When did you know that it was music for you? I mean, at what age was it like your parents knew she's got this? This is
Well, so I grew up in Malaysia, and my parents thought that to try these sort of they used to have these sort of music classes where you can start joining as early as 4 years old or 5 years old, and basically what you do is just go there, play with a bunch of kids, and then you just play tambourines and you just dance and all of those stuff. It's kind of like a music exploration
right.
lesson, group lesson. And so they thought, I had a lot of free time during the weekend, so they thought, why not just sign her up? And that's kind of where my musical journey began. They signed me up when I was 5 years old, and then there I was, like just having fun. But to me, it was just about having fun. And usually it's you kind of finish the program about 3 years old, and then, sorry, 3 years later, not 3 years old. So once it's 3 years later, and then you kind of see if music was for you or anything. But just a couple months after I joined the program, one of the teachers approached my parents and asked if I would actually like to start the piano because and just skip the whole process, and also skip the grade of the beginners level music
Oh, wow.
exams, because they said I had this sort of gift of being able to recognize rhythms and patterns a lot. But to me, I was just having fun. So I had no idea what was going on. I got to find out this whole story probably when I was a teenager. So and then they said yes. So my first instrument was the piano, and that was when I was about 6 years old. And that was somehow how it all began. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just having fun.
Right, right. So now you are a part of the America's Got Talent. How did that happen? Where did that come about? Let's talk about that.
Yes, and it's actually something that's really random and something that I would never expect. First off, I actually didn't know that we can submit videos, or songs or whatever to the panel. And I just realized that they had these like casting auditions, virtual auditions, or you can fly to wherever they're casting and try to audition. Basically, I never knew anything about that. And most of the time, when I think about America's Got Talent, I kind of associate it to world class circus acts. You have people with hula hoops, fire jugglers, and all of that.
Right,
So
right.
I've never really seen myself in that category, if that makes sense. But anyway, so how it all started was I was basically just in my studio and I was about to begin my practice on a Thursday afternoon. And then I received this email on my phone. It was from a casting producer of AGT, just asking, "Hey, do you want to be on the show? Because I've liked most of your YouTube videos, and I think it's really great for the show. And just to know that I'm not a scam or anything. This is my profile. This is my IMDb. So if you would like, please write me back, and then we'll set up a call." And the funny thing was, he sent out this email to every single platform that he said he could find me. So just so that he can get things rolling ASAP.
Right.
It was at the end of last year, so it's cutting close to time. And I remember it was on Instagram DMs that I saw it first. So usually, stuff on DMs are like, okay, like
Uh-huh.
is this trustworthy? So I read the Instagram one first, and I was like, this does not make sense because like I usually associate AGT to like circus acts, and so it does not make sense. And then I found out more that he sent it to all of my emails, Facebook, and everything that he could find. And so I thought like, okay, like let's just try and take up the call. And yeah, it was real, it was legit. So that was how it began.
And so once you found out that this is the real deal, this is really ABT, then what happens?
So we started off really like straight away. We kicked things off. There was basically a lot of stuff to do, which was, preparing for the audition, getting clearance and all of that. So there was a lot of back and forth between the producers and the team involved in, legal stuff, and also the travel side, logistics,
Right.
stage, music. There's a lot of teams that go behind the process, and there's basically a lot of communication and back and forth. Just to get myself ready for the show.
Right.
And this is actually my first time being on a reality competition show, so it was kind of interesting. I actually didn't know what to expect. I was kind of like just enjoying it and like, hey, going with the flow because I have no idea what just happened. But okay.
But someone wrote this about you. It says that the best way to describe her personality on the Ivory Keys is passionately bold. You will be taken away each time she hits a key on the piano. And that was New Sarawak Tribune. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about
So
that.
Sarawak is the state where I come from. So Sarawak is the state of Malaysia, and I used to perform here a lot when I was just trying to figure out this whole career and just exploring. And so I remember meeting a lot of people and got to meet a lot of concert and festival directors here. And then I think these quotes were based off from New Sarawak Tribune, which was our local newspaper, was based off of a lot of these local events that I started playing when I was about maybe 19 or 20 years old. And I really had a lot of fun. And it's just a really, really special sort of experience because I honestly didn't know if it's gonna work. And just like any other sort of goal that you have, I think it's all about just trying things out. And basically, that was what I was doing. I was trying things out for myself. There is no written steady path as to how you should do things. Just like anything, like it's not like, hey, this is your route. You gotta follow this piece by piece. And so that was kind of my discovery. And I knew like I just had to do it. I just had to put myself out. So I was performing in these events, like, you're being your own manager, you're being your own PR, and like, hey, I can do this, hey, I can do that. I love to play on your show, and yeah, that was how those came about.
Yeah. And then also they talked about your style and how it was fresh still yet identifiable. What were they saying when they talked about fresh but yet identifiable?
Um, Usually when I produce something, um, because most of the time, like I mentioned, so classical crossover is kind of like a predictable thing. I mean, it's just mashing up at the end of the day, as to what most people think. But like when you start listening to the stuff that I create, I knowing that this is such a mainstream sort of, well, it's not that common, but it's something that people can expect. Like you can just take Turkish march, right? Like da 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 da, and easily you can think of, yeah, somebody's gonna put a trap beat there. Yeah, I mean, like, that's easy. So I try to usually create something out of the box, like from based on whatever it is. So you can have trap beats, yes, but there must be something that I can add into it that makes it new, that makes it fresh.
Right.
Therefore, that.
Got it.
But it's still identifiable
Got
because
it.
although it's fresh, once you listen to it, it's like, oh no, I know this thing, but it's different, it's new, but I still know the song. It's amazing,
Yeah.
and I think that's the full experience of it. Just for example, like Seven Ring Sonata that I did. So basically, I took Seven Rings, Ariana Grande, and I did it with Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. And what I did was it's first off, it's already something fresh because nobody really associate Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata
Right.
and Seven Rings at the same time.
Right.
But I love to try new things, and that makes it fresh. But at the same time, you can still identify, oh my gosh, that's Seven Rings. But I know this one too. Like it's maybe most of the non-classical musicians. I mean, if you don't listen to classical music too much, you won't be able to tell that that was from the third movement or something of Beethoven. And
Yeah.
then that's where I put in the Moonlight theme, like da 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 da, and then that's where I thought about people who might not know that, but this is something identifiable for them too,
Right.
and that basically describes my whole style.
You are a multi-genre nominated film score composer, music producer. Let's talk about that, right? What does that entail? What all does that entail to be a film score? What do you do? What's the process?
So, film scoring has been one of my sort of hobbies, but turned into, a real sort of passion and job now. So, I've been listening to a lot of Hans Zimmer growing up as well. And, me being a producer, and I love to produce things, basically, coming from my own demos since I was young. Not the best, but I still try. We're talking about like 16 years old, 15 years old kind of stuff. And I always had a passion for audio engineering and production,
Right.
whatever it is. I remember, experimenting, recording my own piano when I was about 12 years old. And I told my mom, hey, like I've seen these inputs at the back of our old computer. And it was like this box sort of computer. I'm like,
Yeah.
this one can go in here and then we can put a mic here. So it kind of grew from there. And then seeing all these movies, especially thriller films, it sort of sparked my whole sense of creativity to create, music for thriller films, horror films, and all of that. When I got in touch to collaborate with one of my friends in the film industry, and I got to know that they were creating this film, and then I said, yeah, talk to me about it. What do you need? And then he was mentioning how, oh, okay, this is going to be a crazy idea, but like I believe in the script. It's good. And it was about this sort of organization
Hmm.
where instead of total execution as a punishment to prisoners or you know people who go against a certain rule, they get punished by erasing their memory as
Oh,
they go along their day. So I
uh-huh.
was like, oh my gosh, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Let's work on that.
Interesting. Interesting.
It's interesting. And then, so that whole, short film, as they submitted it. So I was like being someone who just loved to work on it. And I never thought about, getting it to anywhere, but I just love to create. And then one day, like I just got informed that, hey, your music got nominated. It was so funny because I couldn't attend it. I was on tour, and I had to perform in a couple places, and they were like, "It's nominated! It's nominated! Got nominated for best film music, original music." And it
Oh,
was so funny because as they went there, they went for the ceremony and all of that, but I wasn't there.
yeah.
So every single person, every director,
Uh-huh.
actor, actress was there,
Yeah.
but the person doing the music wasn't there. To
Right. It happens.
to go for the nomination for the music,
It
it was amazing.
happens.
But yeah, but that was a really great experience, and I really enjoy creating that, and that's sort of like my passion, basically working on, but anything also for film music.
Right. So how do you submit like for that? Like how is it that they recognize it? Is it that you've already created it and they're just how do you get nominated? What's that process? I'm just asking the questions for the audience, anybody that's interested in film and want to know these things. What's the nomination process and how are you contacted? All that good stuff.
Well, it definitely depends on a certain maybe competition or academy or organization that you're rooting for your nomination. Because most of the time, people don't usually realize that there are certain guidelines and formats that they're actually looking out for. And I think that's really important to actually find out. And you can also find out from previous nominees or something. And I think that basically improves your chance. You know what I mean? Asking them from tips. What do you think? What aspect of your creation do you think got you the nomination?
Right.
And then from then on, because like I said, every single nomination, depending from the source, they have different guidelines and rules to follow. So it's always best to check on that. But at the same time, like I'm someone who believes so much in originality and creativity.
Mhm.
I wouldn't really recommend to actually tweak or build a composition for something you're working on based on a certain guideline. But in any case, I think it's about finding that right balance if you're looking for that nomination.
Right. Okay. So what do you have going on currently?
Definitely. I'm still, still going on whatever I do for the longest time. And I'm also working on a full length album. All this while I've been producing about, we have about two EPs at the moment, one being the project about 2021 months. And I've just actually released the first half of 2021 EP, that's 2021 part one. And then part two will probably come at the end of the year around December. So that will be July until December months. And on top of that, I'm looking to create a full length album, and that will be one of the biggest projects and the biggest highlights of my career.
Wow.
And I'm really, really excited for it. I have a couple of songs already. Like, oh yeah, we just gotta get it mastered. We're gonna push it out for mastering, but it's already. I'm really excited for that. And at the same time, I definitely do want to share my knowledge to the community.
Yeah.
And so I created my own online masterclass academy. And we have about two instructors at the moment. And it's just something that I'm using to share the knowledge and sort of give back to the industry. And I'm super happy because these two instructors I have with me, Lily V and Action J Jackson, they're awesome drummers, music producers, and people working in the music industry that's basically there to help, young artists. I don't like to use this word, but upcoming. I mean, getting to,
Yeah.
yeah. But you gotta start from somewhere. And you, most of the time, especially people like me, I remember not knowing what to do, right? Like I was mentioning to you earlier on, like it's kind of just like trying things out. But there are certain things and pointers to help you out in the music industry, the way that you need to market your music, planning out strategies to release your music, promote yourself, and, keep your social presence growing. And there are certain strategies to that. And it's not just a one time thing and then you expect
Right.
people to know your music and then you're just producing it in your bedroom.
Right.
So I this is my way of giving back our knowledge,
Mhm.
and I'm looking forward to it because we're opening it up to the public really soon, and I'm looking forward to have even more instructors.
Oh,
And that's called the JJC Academy. It's really exciting, and we're looking forward to recruit more and share more knowledge to the world. So that's under my education side of things, and also, like the same time, still producing for films, which is my favorite, and also producing music for artists and collaborations, and
wow.
basically all that is.
Really quick, how do you submit to say, I want to submit my music for this film that's coming up? How do you submit for that?
Well, I have been actually really blessed, and I'm really thankful for that. To actually have people approach me for my music and
Yeah.
my work, for the films. So, in that question, I don't really know.
I was going to
But
say,
you know
so
what?
then maybe you don't have that answer.
But what I can suggest is, but it's also a good question because I believe, just like in anything, if things doesn't come to you but you want it, it's good to still try, and because you'll never know.
That's right.
And so, probably, you see a production company or something, they're looking to hire film score composers or stuff like that. Reach out to them on email. It's no harm trying to just, send them your stuff, send them your samples, and who knows, they might like it a lot. And then that's going to be your first, film scoring gig.
So I love listening to you like in the room every day that you come
Oh,
in and
yeah.
play. And it's amazing like how you take something and just I don't know what you're over there doing. All I know is whatever you're
All
doing,
the stuff.
it works. It works. It's amazing. And I want you to know how brilliant you are and how I wish you nothing but continued success. Just to continue
Thank you.
to rise to the top and be the best that you ever have been in your life and continue to grow because we always can grow, right? And then I like
Amen. Yeah.
yeah, and I like the fact that yes, you have all this going on and you rub shoulders with some pretty important people. You're important. You're pretty big yourself, right? And you still stay grounded and you still stay humble. I see that.
Definitely.
And so thank you for being that person. I want them to see why I'm so honored to have you and why I keep calling you brilliant. Music touches people's lives in so many different ways. And I know for me, I'm R&B soul all the way, but I can listen to your classical and I'm like, it takes me somewhere else, right? Yeah. So if you would leave something with the people that are our viewing audience, if you could leave something with them, maybe it's somebody out there that's saying, I'm playing this piano and I want to take it to the next level. I don't know what to do, or should I even do that? That's doubting themselves, they're doubting themselves.
Yeah,
What would you tell
totally. I think doubt is a really common issue, and it's something I face almost all the time. If I were to tell you, like, like most of the time people see me being like, oh, you're so confident, and that's why I'm like, I have my doubts too. Like, I have my down days too. You have no idea. And like, I can be just waking up one day and saying, like, ah, man, like, I'm nobody. It's until that point. But whenever these kinds of things happen, I always remember that it's always that negative talk. It can be from any source that you've come across in your life, and that's not for you to take on the blame. But what you have to do is filter out those talks and identify that that's self-hate and self-negative talk
Mhm.
that should not exist. Because once you let it convert you to think that it's that's the reality of things, that will sort of determine your course, your action, and your motivation to keep going on and pursuing the things. Because if you're able to identify this, and I think it's really really important, if you're able to identify that that's negative talk to yourself, then being able to acknowledge your thoughts that it's not reality, then that will basically solve all of the issues that you have with doubts and I'm not good enough for this, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Basically you can think clearer, and then you have a clearer path of where you want to take your music to and what you want to do today, and that's really important.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Go ahead and tell the people where they can find you on your social media sites.
You can find me. All of my usernames are the same. It's at Jolynn J Chin. That's JolynNJChin. That's on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. I do funny videos sometimes. On my TikTok, that's Jolynn underscore piano. And then I'm also on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Find me on Clubhouse and
Yeah.
all of that good stuff. Spotify, Jolynn J Chin, iTunes, all of the streaming platforms. And 2021 EP,
Yes.
part one, part two coming soon.
2021 part one, and look for part two. So you guys, we're going to get out of here for now, and we appreciate you. We appreciate your time, and
You,
go,
Marva.
go continue to reach for the stars, and we'll be following you. Black Link Magazine will be following you. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Yeah, you
Thank
guys.
you so much, Marva.